Hey guys, YouTube War 100 here to give you my final horror movie review now that it's Halloween. How else can I end this by reviewing Halloween 2? I already reviewed the first Halloween, so yeah, go check that out if you haven't seen it. I just finished watching this just a little bit ago, and I thought this was pretty good right here, yeah. This pretty much just takes place like right after the first movie. Yeah. Like I said, this was pretty good. Yeah, you still have Laurie Strode and Dr. Loomis in this. Yeah. As some of you may know, this was originally supposed to be the last one with Michael Myers, but seeing how horrible the third movie was, they decided to bring him back for the fourth movie. So, yeah. I thought this was a pretty good movie. I give this about 3 stars out of 4. So, yeah, let me just get right into this review. Alright, so the movie starts basically showing the clips from the end of the first movie where Dr. Loomis shot Michael Myers and he fell out of the house down to the ground and he disappeared. And then Dr. Loomis came out the front door, tried to find him. And then the guy from next door asked what was going on. And Dr. Loomis told him to call the police. He's And he told the guy that he doesn't know what death is like or something like that. And so the main titles will roll along. Yeah. And then we saw like Michael Myers, who's like he grabbed a kitchen knife from an old couple's home. And then the wife saw that the knife was gone. She started screaming. And then when the girls from next door or heard the screaming, she asked if everything was okay. Then she called like a friend, I think. And then she heard someone come in. We saw Michael Myers come in the house. And she went to check what it was. And then Michael Myers just killed her. And we saw Laurie being loaded into an ambulance and taken to the hospital, where she knew one of the guys who was named, what was his name, Jimmy. And the other guy's name was Bud. But he was the driver. Yeah. And yeah, when they brought her to the hospital, they took a blood sample from her and put her to sleep. Yeah. Yeah. And then later on, Jimmy came into Laurie's hospital room, tried to talk to her. And also, Dr. Loomis and the sheriff were thought they were looking for Michael Myers, so they thought they found him. And then there was another police car that just ran the guy they thought was Michael Myers, and he went into like a van or something, and there was a huge fire blaze. And they later on found out that it wasn't him. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then at one point we saw Michael Myers. He was just like walking like through some place. He's along with a bunch of bystanders just like passing him by. Yep. And then later on, back in Laurie's hospital room, a nurse was telling her what her injuries were. It was like a cracked bone, but not broken. And then, yeah, she was trying to get a hold of her parents, but she couldn't get them. And she asked Laurie if they could be someplace else, and Laurie said, like, she didn't know. Like, their phone lines were down or something. So the security guard went to check to see if anything was wrong with them. Yeah. Yeah, he was just like searching the entire building and like behind. he was like searching in also like these lockers. And then, like, when he closed the doors for one, Michael Myers was right behind him, and then he killed him. Yeah. And then we saw, like, Dr. Loomis and the sheriff going to some house where there were a bunch of people, like, throwing stuff at the windows or something. And then they were told, like, there was some incident that happened at an elementary school, so they went to go check that out. And then one of the nurses was like, she heard a buzz in one of the rooms, she went to check. And then Bud was in the room, and he started to make out with her. And then they went, like, to a hot tub in the hospital. And then the heat started to turn up some more, which was being caused by Michael Myers. Yeah, he just kept turning the heat up, and the nurse said, like, it was getting really hot, and she just couldn't take it anymore. So Bud went to go check it out the heat. And then Michael Myers then strangled him. And then he came back over to the hot tub. The nurse thought it was Bud for a second. She was saying that she needed to get back to work. And then she turned around and it was Michael Myers, and he just like dumped her head into the water. Just right, like it was getting into like a scorch or something. Like when it was starting to get like over 120 degrees. Yeah, and you just kept seeing her face. It was burning up, and he just kept pushing her head down into the water. And I was just like saying that, like, you should stop, because seriously, I mean, he made his point. Yeah. And then when Dr. Loomis and the police got to the school, they saw, like, there was a broken window and a knife in the teacher's desk. Yeah. Yep. And there was, like, this other lady there who was trying to talk to Dr. Loomis about Michael Myers. Yep. And then Jimmy went back to try to talk to Lori, but Lori wasn't responding at all. She wasn't moving at all. And then Jimmy brought in a nurse to check it out, and Lori wasn't responding to the light in the eyes. So another one of the nurses went to get another doctor's help or something. And when she saw him, there was like a needle poking right through his eye. Then Michael Myers popped up behind her, and he injected her head with a syringe. And then Michael Myers went back over to Laurie's room, and he tried to stab her, but yeah, just like with no effect. He only was poking like cotton. And then he removed the blanket and there were just pillows. Yeah, Laurie tried to make a run for it. Yeah. And the nurse came back to the room and she saw that Laurie was gone also. And then Laurie was just trying to hide from Michael Myers. There's some more. Yeah. And then the nurse tried to look for the security guard who Michael Myers killed, and she just couldn't find him. She was looking around everywhere for him. And yeah. And Jimmy was also trying to look for Laurie. Then he went to like one of the surgery rooms, and he saw another one of the nurses strapped onto the table with her blood like being drained out. And then when Jimmy tried to rush out of the room or something, he slipped on the blood and he just fell and hit his head on the ground, and he was just out cold. Yeah. Yeah. And then the nurse tried to leave and by getting in the car, but it wouldn't start. And she's all like it was a flat tire and leaking oil or something. And she saw that it seemed like every car had flat tires or something. Yeah. And she went back into the hospital. She found Lori. As Lori. Yeah, and yeah, Lori was still trying to walk out of the hospital. And then Michael Myers got the nurse and he just stabbed her, and he was able to actually lift her up with that thing he stabbed her with. And then she just fell down and died. And then Michael Myers continued to chase Lori. Yeah, and then Lori then eventually just stormed out of the hospital, and she was trying to hide in a car. Yeah. And then that lady was telling Dr. Loomis that Laurie Strode is actually Michael Myers' sister. Yep. Yep. And then, later, then Jimmy then went over to the car Laurie was in. He tried to start it over something, but he was just, like, out cold. Yeah, he just was, like, barely conscious, and then he just passed out again, and his head, like, hit the horn. And, and then, Laurie just got out of the car there, just as Dr. Loomis, cop, and the lady arrived at the hospital. Lori tried to call them for help, but they couldn't hear her, and they got into the hospital. And then Michael Myers popped up again. He was trying to get to Lori again, and Lori was just banging on the door, and then eventually Dr. Loomis let her in. And then Michael Myers, he just like walked through the door, and then Dr. Loomis shot him a few times, and then he went down. And the cop came along. Dr. Loomis was trying to tell him that Michael Myers was still alive. The cop just believed he was dead. And then Dr. Loomis sent the lady to go to the car and call the police on the radio. And as she did that, Michael Myers then recovered and just slit the cop's throat. Yeah. And then Dr. Loomis and Lori made a run for it. They were hiding in another surgery room. And then Dr. Loomis handed Lori a gun. And as Michael Myers broke into the room, Dr. Loomis tried to shoot, but he was just out of ammo. And then Michael Myers stabbed him. And then as he was walking towards Lori then shot Michael Myers, looked like in the eyes, and you saw blood coming out of his eyes, and Michael Myers just couldn't see where he was going. And then Dr. Loomis and Lori were like turning up propane tanks and stuff. And then Dr. Loomis told Lori to get out of the room. And then Dr. Loomis lit his lighter, and then there was a huge explosion. And we saw Michael Myers like trying to walk again, and then he just fell to the ground. And then he quote unquote died. And then the movie just ended with Lori being loaded into another ambulance, and it just showed all the fire, and then that's how it ended. Yeah, but seriously, why were they playing Mr. Sandman in this movie? Yeah, they played Mr. Sandman at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end of the movie. Yeah, why is that song in a horror movie? Seriously? Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, so 3 stars out of 4, as I said. Alright, so that's my Halloween review. Halloween 2 review, I should say. Yeah. And that's it for my horror movie reviews. It was for all of October. Yeah, so, yeah. Thanks to everyone who stayed watching these horror movie reviews. I hope you guys enjoyed them. So, yeah. So, thanks for watching this, and happy Halloween. I'll see you guys later.